In this video, I'm going to show how I make my own mandalas. I don't think I'm going to color it, but I think I'm going to ink it. It's going to have multiple parts. I'll put it all in one video. It'll take me some time, but if you're patient, you will see how I do this. So you see my equipment. I've got a semicircle. I've got a protractor or compass, whatever it's called. It's been a long time since I've used these, many, many decades. A few pencils, of course. I love Musgrave pencils. This is the Test Scoring 100 Musgrave pencil, and then an eraser. So what I do first is I try to find where the center of the page roughly is. Now, of course, because I've been doing it in previous pages, I can already see the indentation from the last one that I did. So actually that really helps me. And I draw an X. And then from there, I try to stick in the point of the compass so that it really makes like a mark. It really makes a little hole into the page because that way I always find it as I keep drawing more and more. I usually try to check where I am on each side, and then I draw my first circle, okay, which is my outer circle. Now I do these sitting on my lap while I'm watching TV on a couch. So actually, this is even better than that because I'm doing it on a flat surface. Okay, so I draw them. I think I usually make the concentric circles about 1 centimeter apart. And even though I'm in the U.S. and thinking inches, I think it's more like, yeah, half an inch, but a little more. So it's more like 1 centimeter. Sometimes I'll draw different circles. I'll leave a wider band. But for this particular example, I'm going to draw what I think is just a simple mandala that I like to draw, which is just a bunch of concentric circles about 1 centimeter apart in radius. And of course, the paper that I'm drawing on, I should have said that in the first place, just in case you're interested in getting it. If you're in the US, you can get this paper. At least I can get them out of my own Target. So and I'll just show it. Let me move these around. So it happens to be mixed media, Strathmore, and it is 9 by 12 inches, 60 sheets, 160 GSM. All right. Let's get back to where we were. Get all our equipment back here. Okay, so now I've jumped the circle. So I'm done. I'm done with this thing. Then I can move on to using the semicircle. So the first thing that I do is I draw my horizontal line. Now, because it's a mandala, it doesn't really have to be horizontal. It can be anything. But I like to do it this way. I mean, you may want to do it your own way, of course, and draw it as a vertical. It's all the same because of the angles. So it's really, it's got, the symmetry is to the circle, not to the square. Okay, so the next thing that I do is I line up to the center of the semicircle. And in this case, I'm just gonna do 30 degrees. So I'm gonna do a little mark at 90, another one at 120, another one at 150, another one at 60, and another one at 30. It does not have to be exact for me because I like a little asymmetry anyways, but you may want to do it exactly. And of course, you can do it in any number of degrees that you want. And then after that, I draw my lines from the outer edge to the center a little further down so that then I can complete them. I've never really timed how long it takes me to do one from beginning to end, but I think a good hour is a good measure, including coloring. Of course, coloring is what takes the longest. Inking can go on very quickly. And this part, the drawing part also can take a while, depending on how much you want to think about the design, because you can go in so many different ways, which is, of course, what makes mandalas so much fun to draw. Okay, and I should have extended these a little further so I can complete them on the other side. See, which one did I forget? That one, that one, that one. I forgot that one. So yeah, in my case, I'm not going for perfection here. This is not like I'm in an architecture class or anything like that. So if it's a little asymmetric, all the better. Okay, so very soon I'll have my rays complete. And then I can get on with the business of the actual mandala itself. And of course, I've got the eraser, so I want to make sure that I erase the lines that I don't need, because then when you color, you don't have these, especially if you use oranges and yellows, you don't have these lines in the background in case you want to. I'm going to try a very simple design for this example. Okay. Now, of course, all of this is going to be covered by ink. And this particular pencil, the test scoring from Musgrave is not super dark, which is good. Okay. And of course, I will say this many times, I am definitely not going for perfection. This is just a lot of fun. And a game that I like to play is just figuring out which points I'm joining. So I know for a fact that here I'm joining these points to a point once removed, like that. And yeah, it doesn't have to be perfect. I mean, if you want it to be perfect, you could erase this and make it really hit that point, but I don't think it matters. Not for me, at least. So here I have an opportunity of either erasing this line and just leaving it a single area for what would be a petal. But in some cases, I actually like to divide it. So in this case, this is going to remain in the design. But and I think I may even leave these lines in the design as well. So I'll actually ink them. But I want to make sure that I don't ink something that I didn't want to. Move the colors different places so that they don't bother me. And of course, you may choose to take these leaves. Let's do that here for this one. So I know I'm not going to need these lines anymore. Made a little bit of a mess there. That was not intended. That was not intended. Okay, but here I may want to turn this into a leaf, and I will. And I like to start from the outer, always. But, of course, when you get to do this, it's your hobby, your choice, how you want to do these. Notice that I always go to the tip of the leaf. That's just the way that I like to do it. This eraser is not, it's a little too dirty. That's why I made the big smudge. So let me just get rid of the cover so that yeah, That way I can do this. Okay. All right, let's keep going. I think what I want to do here is close it off. And then I'll think of something to fill in. Maybe I'll do an inner ring. And no, this is not perfect because I didn't have a circle under it, but that's fine. Now I changed the design a little as I went along, but that's fine. Okay, so that's done. I may want to do like a few more lines here. And I like to use the symmetry already of the lines that I laid out so that everything is as equidistant as possible. But, you know, when you make these, your asymmetries are your own choice. And those are always fun anyways. Going a little faster than I usually would, just because I want to, this video don't have to take forever. Okay, and I am going to leave that middle cut for these, but only like that. I think this one looks a little funny. Well, it's always going to look funny, but anyways. Going for the same midpoint. And then I'm going to close it off. I got a little dirty. And no, I'm not thinking about what the design looked like ahead of time. I'm just making it up as I go. If I see a line that I like, I draw it. And if I draw it and I don't like it for that particular pattern, and I'm on the second one, I'll stop and then start another pattern. Now, it doesn't have to be perfect. All right, so, but I'm gonna leave that outer ring like that. And I think next, yeah, I'm gonna branch out here. Of course, I know which points I'm connecting, right? And at what angle I'm hitting them. Okay, so now, Oh, and I think I am going to use these lines. I changed my mind. That'll allow me to do some selective coloring that will give it a little volume. Okay, almost done for this part. Now, I think I want to do something here. But not too much. I don't want it to be too busy on the outer rings. Okay, and I don't see any major lines that I left inside this design, so I'll just keep on going. Going for that middle point right here. Checking to see what the other ones look like, just in case. I want to be symmetric. Not sure that I care too much. I think I'm gonna close this ring right here. Or this circle, I should say, not really. Well, you could think of it as a ring. I'm glad that I did not erase this guideline from the protractor. I don't know what else to do. maybe do this. Yeah, maybe turn that into a leaf and then erase everything else. And I'll try it on try it on this one and see what it looks like, see if I like it, and then keep going. Because if I don't like it, then I'll just erase it and do something else. And I always like to do it from the outside. Yeah. Maybe add a little inner ring in here. Don't have enough lines going in that are like this, so I gotta maybe do something about that. Rays is, I guess, what they're called. Yeah, let's do that. Let's make some rays. Okay, so I think that's gonna be the final thing to finish this off. Just this leaf. Which is a very nice parabola. Okay, then the leaves, finally. And this one I should have started from the outside, but I guess it doesn't matter. This is why I start with a few pre-sharpened pencils, so that when I'm making the video, I don't have to go sharpen any pencils. course, this would take a lot less time in a time lapse, but I don't know. I wanted to make one where I showed every single step. Just one. Every single line that was drawn. Maybe I'll just make the time lapse for coloring it. And then anybody who wants to see how it's done can see this long video. Okay, so that's the end of the actual mandala. Now it's complete. Now I'm gonna stop right here and go get me a pen, and I'll append to this video the actual inking of it. All right, on to inking, and I forgot to give it a number. And I think this is mandala number 15. And today is March 29. Okay, so now the mandala is complete. Let's put these pencils here. And then let's get on with the business of inking it. Now, this is a pen out of a Target, and I think it's a 0.7 millimeter point. I usually like to start from the outer in, but I mean, you know, many ways to skin the cat. And I could have done a better job of erasing some of the graphite, but that's fine. Now, sometimes I'll want to protect the integrity of some lines. In some cases, I'll decide to do like this diamond first, because maybe I don't want to have it, I don't want to go into it with one of these lines. But it's not the end of the world if you go over into another area. That's the beauty of hobbies. You can be sloppy and it's not a big deal. It's your own mandala anyways. I mean, you could even forget a line that's just in graphite and then color it, and that would be fine. You could even not ink it at all, but I like to ink it because it gives a little pop, in my opinion. And I think what I'm going to do with this one is I'm only going to time lapse coloring it. And I'm not going to do one where I design it from scratch in time lapse, because I think it defeats the purpose. I mean, a lot of what anybody would be interested to learn to draw their own mandala would come from listening to me talking about how I did it. Of course, I mean, this is not the discovery of fire. I think most anybody could design their own mandala without having to hear me do it. But, you know, some people may like to see it, and that's why I'm making this video. And sometimes I'll forget a line in graphite and I'll just draw it in ink. Doesn't matter. And I'm not being exact in how I trace it, but you may want to in your case. You could even want the lines not overlapping so much, and then the mixture of the graphite and the pen under it, under the color, could look good to you. Okay, so that takes care of all those. All right. Okay, so that takes care of the outer area. Inking is a lot quicker than the initial drawing, as you can see, because you already know where you're going, and you didn't have to make any design decisions as to how to fill the mandala. I want to draw these lines before I forget them. Although, again, like I said, if you forget a line, it's not a big deal. You're going to color over it anyways. But sometimes, at least in my case, I like the contrast of the ink. In theory, or if you choose to, you could just do pencil. Or actually, you could do pen without pencil. Just in my case, after doing a couple of these, I just like this way. Okay, so that takes care of that. Let's draw this inner ring. Now I noticed that I drew one where the leaves are in the opposite uh, angles, but that's cool. I like that. A little asymmetry. And we're almost done. Although I don't want to forget these. Just realized. Yeah, and there is a dividing line. I'm gonna keep that line too. Okay, now we can do this. And now the inner. And these little lines will be the last thing that I do, but I always forget some, well, sometimes I forget to do the number and the date. I like to do that as well. Okay, so I think after this, I think it'll be a separate video where I time-lapse myself coloring the mandala.